Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. In today's video we're going to be talking about a structure that is commonly known as the future in the past. And from personal experience, immediately when people hear the name of the structure, the future in the past, they start panicking. They think it's going to be a structure that is going to be really complicated, or they might ask themselves, well, how can you be in the future and the past at the same time? But even though the name might be a little bit complicated, the structure itself is actually pretty easy to use. And the first thing that you need to understand is that when we use any future tenses in English, typically we are looking at the future from the present. This means that, for example, when I say that next weekend I am going to go to the beach, this is a plan that I have as of this moment. So I am looking at my future from this moment, from the present. And so the idea of the future in the past is basically the same thing. The only difference is that we use it to talk about plans that we had in the past or predictions that we made in the past. And the structure is actually pretty similar, or the structures that you can use are pretty similar. So for example, one of the ways that we can talk about our future plans is with going to. For example, today after class, I am going to watch TV. And you can basically use the same structure to talk about plans in the past or plans that you had in the past, with the only difference being that the verb to be changes to the past. So instead of I am going to, you would say I was going to. Or if the subject is we, you, or they, were going to. For example, my friends and I were going to have a picnic today, but then it started raining, so we had to cancel it. So this is a plan that I had in the past that I had to cancel. We were going to have a picnic. Or in the second example, when I was young, I thought I was going to be a doctor, but it didn't work out. So again, I was going to be a doctor, a verb in the base form. And in the final example, last year my family was going to travel, but then there was a global pandemic and they had to cancel their plans. So again, the subject was going to and a verb in the base form. And it is important to note that when we use was going to or were going to, typically we use it to talk about plans that we had in the past that changed. So for example, I didn't have a picnic, I didn't become a doctor, and my family didn't travel. So the opposite of what your plan was happened. Now, in the same way that to talk about our plans that we have in this moment or to make predictions in the future, as of this moment, we have different ways to indicate that, most commonly with going to and will. It is also possible to use a couple of different structures to talk about the future in the past. And so the other common way to talk about plans that we had in the past or predictions that we made in the past is with would and a verb in the base form. However, it is important to note that I cannot simply say I would be a doctor or I would have a picnic. That would be incorrect in this particular context. Instead, what you need is a subject and a verb of mental activity. So for example, I thought, I imagined, I believed, I knew, or it could be a different subject. My mom knew, my mom suspected, my mom didn't know. So subject and a verb of mental activity, and then a second subject with would and a verb in the base form. So for example, I thought I would be a doctor, but it didn't work out. And this is basically the same as saying that I thought I was going to be a doctor. Or in the second example, I didn't know I would be a teacher, but here I am. And for this second structure, it is important to note that it doesn't really matter if the plan or the prediction came true. You can use it in both cases, although typically you can find a clue as to whether the plan came true in the main verb of the sentence. So for example, if you say, I thought I would be a doctor, then you're probably hinting that it didn't happen. Like in my case, I didn't become a doctor. However, if you say something like, I always knew that I would be a teacher, then it's implying that this did happen. Okay, and so in the final example, I have, I never imagined my brother would move to Brazil, but he's been living there for 10 years now. So it's the same structure, the subject, a verb of mental activity, a second subject, in this case my brother, would, and a verb in the base form. And basically those are the two most common ways to use the future in the past. So to talk about plans that you had in the past.